I want to thank Rafael Eldor and the members of the Jerusalem's Quality House for bringing in this tremendous exhibit by Robbie Berman, who happened to be there or wanted to be there, not as a photographer, but who made, I think, an important contribution to the documentation of the greatest act of terror in history, and to the spirit that guided the brave firefighters and policemen and citizens who did everything in their power in that smoke and in that darkness to try to save what lives could be saved. There is something very powerful on this day, exactly this day, perhaps exactly this hour, 1 decade later. Historic epochs sometimes take centuries to unfold, but only 10 years have passed since that infamous day on which those remarkable pictures here on display, since those pictures were taken. But I believe that a decade is long enough to take stock of where we are in this great struggle between civilization and barbarism. This is the great struggle of our time. But it didn't begin on September 11th. 9/11 did, however, introduce the world to the dangers of terrorism employed by militant Islam. It introduced the world to the fanatic creed that guides its adherents. And 9/11 also launched a decade in which 2 American presidents were engaged in this historic confrontation. Now, during this decade, the forces of civilization have enjoyed many victories. The Taliban were driven from power. Saddam Hussein's regime was toppled. Osama bin Laden was killed. And the U.S. president should be congratulated for this action. I think that it's something symbolic of the fact that President Obama ordered the elimination of Osama bin Laden as we close this decade. That is both a symbolic and substantive victory. And there were also many terror plots that were thwarted during this time. But still, the forces of terror during these years also enjoyed some victories. They struck in Bali, in London, in Madrid, in Mumbai, and yes, here in Jerusalem and elsewhere. They control Lebanon, they control Gaza, and they're racing to develop nuclear weapons in Tehran. 10 years after 9/11, the possibility that the world's most dangerous weapons will fall into the hands of the world's most dangerous regimes, that possibility is all too real. And the ultimate terrorist nightmare, a potential nuclear terrorist attack, could soon become a real and present danger. This must not be allowed to happen. The international community, led by the United States, must do everything in its power to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. Now, with this battle between barbarism and civilization being waged and still undecided in the Middle East, there is, however, a new force that has emerged in this region. Those who demand freedom and opportunity, and those who demand basic human dignity, are rising up against calcified and repressive regimes, regimes that have long denied their peoples the entry ticket into modernity. But alongside the Democrats, who are hoping for a better future for themselves and their peoples, alongside them stand militants seeking to return to what they see as a glorious past, a past where a caliphate stretched from the Atlantic Ocean to the Indus River and from the horns of Africa to the gates of Vienna. This is what possesses their imagination, and this is what fires their zeal. Now, militant Islam has not been a major force in triggering this revolution in the Arab world and throughout the Middle East. But we must make sure that it will not prove decisive in determining their outcome. In Egypt, in Syria, in Libya, in Yemen, and elsewhere, militant Islamic forces are trying to hijack the Arab Spring. They're trying to preclude any possibility of genuine democracy, progress, and peace. We saw such an attempt in Cairo 2 days ago. I just came here from a meeting with Jonathan, the chief security officer in our embassy in Cairo, and he and his 5 colleagues displayed a tremendous coolness of judgment in virtually impossible circumstances. And they no doubt deserve credit for acting with great courage and great wisdom. But I want to take this opportunity to convey a special thanks to President Obama, who intervened at a crucial moment to help us safeguard our people and return them home. I think we all face these common foes. They threaten the new order that we all want to see in the Arab world. They reject freedom and they reject modernity. And we must be sure that they will not be allowed to destroy the hopes of hundreds of millions throughout the Middle East. In the last decade, much blood has been spilled and much treasure has been spent. Too much is at stake for our common future to allow the forces of radical militancies to impose an even greater tyranny on the peoples of the region. My friends, the pictures on display here cry out for us. They cry out to us to remember those who attacked America, to remember why they attacked America, to remember the many thousands felled by terrorism on 9/11 and the many thousands who were murdered since 9/11, and to remember the thousands of brave soldiers who've paid the ultimate price in fighting terrorism since then. On this day, let us remember them, and let us recommit ourselves to doing all in our power to ensure that the forces of barbarism are defeated and that the forces of progress and peace will prevail. Thank you very much.